Welcome to Duke's United Show, and today we have Garth and Hakeem on the show to talk through some of Man United's latest news and latest gossip. And our group's been absolutely firing off all week, so I'm sure you guys are not going to be short of a few comments or two, are you? How you doing, Garth?
Yeah, good, mate. Yourself? I'm doing great, bro.
Yeah, I'm good. Hakeem, how's it going, mate? How's it going?
Very well. Absolutely freezing here, but I'm happy.
Turn the heating up, lad. Turn the heating up.
Can't afford that, mate.
Have you seen that that YouTube thing when he turns it on? Let me take it back off. Oh my gosh, that's exactly how it is. It's ridiculous, but yeah. Anyway, you know, the World Cup's on. England game's coming up soon. And you know how many players are still in the World Cup that are part of Man United's squad? It's pretty good. It's actually pretty good. Have a look at this. You've got Bruno, Dalot, Maguire, Rashford, Shaw, Martinez, Casemiro, Anthony, Malacia, Varane. That's like the whole Man United side, all still in it. Just Eriksen having to say goodbye. But yeah, and maybe a few others as well. But yeah,
Martial.
Yeah, he didn't come in the first place. But yeah, I'm talking about people who have been in and still in there right now. So
I see what you say. Yeah.
It's all good. So Alex Carrington-Kino, good to see you, mate. Good to see you. We've got a bit to talk about because there is a bit of kind of transfer rumours. There's a few players looking at there's a player that we know of that will be going at the end of the season. We've got a big name player who we've been talking about in recent weeks that I want to talk about some more. We've got another Netherlands player who it seems like something may be happening. And yeah, we're just going to talk about the players left in the World Cup and what's coming. So it's good. Cammy says, can I have a Duke's hoodie? Which hoodie are you talking about?
Yeah, we'll get some merch sorted in a couple of weeks. After Christmas, we'll get that merch sorted. You know what I mean? That one just wants you off your back, mate. He just wants the jumper off your back, man.
Send me the address.
Cost of living crisis, like we said, mate. You know what I mean? So...
Oh my gosh! But look, let's go first and foremost because look, we did want to see a Man United game, and funny enough, we had a Man United game yesterday, and it was a bit of a mad one. We had a few players in there. I thought, you know what, looks like a quite tasty side, but we ended up playing Cadiz, who were bottom of the La Liga, who've only scored 9 goals this season. I think in about 14 games or something like that, and yeah, United go and lose 4-2 with Williams at left back. We had how do you say his name? The centre back. What's his
Gerardo?
name? No,
Mark Gerardo.
Lindelof, and the other centre back who we were talking about. Guys, help me out here. I can't even say his name. Oh my goodness me! What's his name now? His name is Mengi.
Oh, Techi Mengi.
You couldn't help me out there, no, guys.
No, that's, you know what, I saw part of the second half, mate. By that time, Gerardo had come on, hadn't he? The young Spanish fella.
I was enjoying that. It's quite enjoyable watching you.
Tongue-tied, mate. Tongue-tied.
Little Scatman knife.
Okay. Cammy said you're all wearing a hoodie. I want one. Oh, yeah? No worries. We'll get one sorted for you, mate. Yeah, so it's Wan-Bissaka, Lindelof, Mengi, and Williams. And you would have thought, you know what? That would have been strong enough to kind of hold it because last year we were not too bad. And yeah, it's just it was a mad one because we were just open. Did any of you guys watch the game? Did you watch any of it, Hakeem?
No, I saw a few clips. But I was down in Oxford last night, so I was travelling. But I saw a few clips. But all I saw was Wan-Bissaka being. I mean, I can't believe it, but he was caught out of position and then puffing and panting trying to get back. Hard to believe. Yeah. So yeah,
exactly what I saw.
Absolute standard.
It's not nice though, Hakeem, when you haven't played for a long time. Like your first couple runs, you're dead. You can't move after you make one run. You're like, I can't get back. I can't move.
But he was doing that all season when he was playing every game.
Oh my gosh! The good thing is Martial carried on his goal scoring. He scored a nice little dink penalty, and Mainu came on second half and did a little bit of jinking around in the box and hits the ball and scores a goal. But other than that, the game was pretty bad. Garnacho looked a little bit lively, like he wanted to do bits, but everyone else, man, Van der Beek, non-existent. Elanga, not the best. We had actually Zidane looked good. He looked good on the ball. He got on it quite well, and he moved the ball around. And you think, you know what? He could possibly do okay with the rest of the side. He's the only one I was looking in there out of the ones who haven't actually looked. We haven't really seen him play for the first team properly. So I was looking at going, you know what? Yeah. Even Mengi, I thought he could do a great job. Maybe he still can, but we did look very shaky at the back. Williams didn't look anywhere near what we saw of him when he first come on the scene. What did you see second half then, Garth?
Same. It was just I watched a bit of the second half, to be fair, mate, because it was a dreadful performance. It's not a game that was fun to watch. So it's going. From what I've read, from what I've heard, Dan done all right. I heard exactly what he said. Wan-Bissaka was disgraceful, apparently, from what I've been reading. Like just dead. Williams, Williams is Williams. But I'm looking at that first team now. We shouldn't be 2-1 down at half time with that team on the pitch. When you look at it, you've got Martial in there, Garnacho, Van der Beek, Elanga, McTominay. That back line's pretty strong, like you said. Dubravka's an experienced international. Like we should not, no matter what. Like literally, no matter what. Like Wan-Bissaka, I'll give Williams maybe fitness issues because they haven't played.
Yeah.
I don't know. What's it like, Nathan? You're ex-pro. Like if you've been out of the first team for that long, is it down to you to make sure you've got that fitness up and ready to go if you're called upon, or is it just not possible?
Nah, you can't get fit. You can't get match fit until you've played 3 or 4 games. You can never get match fit. Yeah, it's like when you come back to a pre-season, like you do all the hard work, all the running, everything. You can do as much running as you want, but as soon as you step on that field and you make a proper high-intensity sprint, my gosh, your legs turn to jelly. They turn straight to jelly, and that first game is the worst game of football you've ever seen in your life, and then it starts to come later on. So, yeah, that's what happens to me anyway. So maybe not for everyone, but yeah, I'm telling you, I feel like I've never played football in my life when I play the first game. You run down the channel, and as you get into the ball, your legs, you already got cramp. I'm like, oh my goodness me, what the hell's happened here? What is going on? So yeah, it's not a nice feeling. Big Ben says no surprise there. Donny being non-existent, yeah.
Ooh.
When it comes to the first team games, he does. But you know what? Everybody does. And again, we got another game on Saturday. I think we got Betis on Saturday. So it's another game to get more fit. So we're ready for the actual games that matter. So you know what? Let's say goodbye to Kaziz's game because I don't care.
I'll say one last thing. The one thing that's disappointing is this is a chance for some of these young kids, the Iqbals, the Charlie Savages, the Manos, to prove to Ten Hag that they're worthy of a first team spot. And from what I saw yesterday, Iqbal maybe. I've seen more from Iqbal and Garnacho before, but this isn't going to impress him at all. Even Van der Beek, McTominay, it's not going to impress him at all. But yeah, definitely don't need to go.
My gosh. But anyway, Hakeem, I want to ask you about this. Mr. Gakpo, it says they've agreed a deal in principle for Cody Gakpo and more transfer rumours, whatever that means. But basically, speaking to Steve as well, the transfer correspondent, he's saying we're in talks. We're actually in talks, like something's going to happen this January. Are you excited about that? Does that excite you? Do you want him in your striker position? Do you want him as an option as one of the 3? What are you thinking of him coming in? Yeah, what are you thinking?
The first thing I'm not thinking, because allegedly we'd signed a deal with De Jong, 15 different times. And if I went through all the transfer rumours that we've had over the past 30 years, we'd have actually virtually every single player on the planet. So until I see him holding up a Man United shirt at Old Trafford, I don't even get too excited. But if it is real, having watched him, because I've seen a bit of him in the Netherlands, and he's always looked good, as in the league. But this World Cup, I've been very impressed with him. And you're always a bit careful when it's in a international game, the amount of people that are being bought off the back of a World Cup, and then they don't do anything. But he looked tired because he's quick. He's a lot quicker than I thought he was, actually. I've seen him just burn past players. And his shots just seem nice and clinical. He seems very, very calm. He looks like a player that's not rushing in. You know, if I compare him to Memphis Depay is basically well, I can't say poor man's, a pauper's Neymar. He thinks he's absolutely phenomenal and doesn't do much. And I think Gakpo just seems down to earth, solid. He no flash about him. You give him the ball, he lays it off, he gets the shot in, and he just strikes the ball very nicely. Because I've been watching the way he strikes the ball. It's not rushed. He knows where he's placing it, and he just seems accurate. So if we can get someone like that, and then you start thinking about him with Garnacho or with Rashford and Anthony, you start thinking, and then you've got Martial there as well. Very, very nice forward line. So I am very excited. Very, very excited if we get him.
Good. Garth, are you thinking that he can bring something extra to the side as well, or just added kind of options?
No, he definitely can bring something aside because if it was just options, I would not be that interested in him, especially like Steve, our transfer guru, is saying it's probably going to be about 55 mil English for him now. It was 35 mil in, but and it's not like it's just there you go. Speak of the devil and he shall appear, you know what I mean? But yeah, he said it's just a there. There's no deal actually in place with him. It's just talks ongoing. But if I thought he's a winger, he's clearly more of that. He's more of a striker. If he's coming in as a striker, I'm fully for it. If he's coming in as an option on the wing, I just don't see an option for him at Man United there, unless he's going to turn up and absolutely be phenomenal. Because then you're talking about Garnacho not getting minutes. You're talking about we've got to move Sancho on. We've got to move Sancho on if we're buying another winger. You know what I mean? So I'd like him. Yeah, he definitely brings. If he's coming in as a striker, especially Ronaldo gone and Martial's injury problems, maybe they won't come back. But they do. You know what I mean? We definitely need someone in there. 55 mil sounds like a decent price for him from what I've seen. Yeah, 100% brings something different to the team all day.
Yeah, well, look, I think he'll be a good addition, whether he's up front or if he comes in off the left or the right, because you're always going to get injuries anyway. And I also, inside me, I've been thinking this for a long time. Our wide men are not very, efficient. They're not very efficient in what they do, even though, they don't really make chances, like proper chances for people. So Anthony, I want to see him create more. I want to see him be able to score your 10 to 15 goals in a season. I want Rashford. I think Rashford will score, but in terms of getting down the left and using the ball on his left and then cutting back and even cross, I don't think he's going to give us loads of assists, and we're not going to ever be as fluid or as dangerous as a City. So I think someone like this guy who I'm seeing coming in, Gakpo, he looks like he's got like end product to his game. He looks like whatever he does, like Hakeem was saying, it looks like he knows exactly what he wants to do, and he's a clean striker of the ball, clean play of the ball, and he's very fast. And it's like it's all effortless. That's what it looks like to me, and I like it. I just like that added kind of. He can play up front. We know that if Martial, let's say for example, gets injured, he could just play up front, continue playing up front. And then he might stay up front ahead of Martial. But then there might be games where he wants to play Martial and he wants to play Gakpo. So I think in terms of what you need in terms of people who are on form and people who are off form, injuries, with all that in the mix, there's always going to be an opportunity for someone like him at that price to come in and do a great job. Paul James says, I heard Gakpo said he will be talking to United after the what?
The World Cup. I'm guessing the World Cup. Yeah. I just don't I know it's saying that, but like the way you talk, because of what I've seen of him, he isn't a crosser of the ball or anything. He isn't like the winger like that of any kind. He's an inside forward. And we've got so many.
A lot, Andy, already. He's assisted a lot, Andy.
Through the centre, I thought, but maybe I'm wrong there. But the way you're talking about cutting in, crossing a ball in, that isn't Gakpo's game, from what I understand at all. So the way you talk is like, who are we leaving out here? Because like you really go through that list on the wide play. You've got Rash. You're saying like it's nice to have options. We are got an embarrassment of riches in that position already. Hundreds. Like we do not need another one, no matter how good he is. Unless it's Mbappe.
We need a striker.
I don't mean leave him out. Yeah. Don't go on, Hakeem. Go on.
We need a striker. We've needed a striker. Or well, ever since Mason Greenwood decided to go do Lally, we've needed a proper number 9, someone who's going to give minimum 20 goals a season. Because Martial can do it, but he plays 3 games, he's injured, plays another 5 games. You can't rely on Martial. So you need somebody who's going to be fit, firing, and I think Gakpo can do it. I like Garth. If he's going to come in as an option, and then you're going to be interchanging him with Rashford, you're just not going to score enough goals. We need a proper lethal.
I think so. I think we definitely need a striker, and that was what would lead me on to the next bit. Before I say that, in terms of the Gakpo thing, I just think that someone will be off form, and then someone else will be on form, and I think like when Anthony, let's say he starts, and then he doesn't provide a goal, or like he's kind of missing for most of the games, like most of a game, and then he'll come alive in a certain portion of a game. He needs to be much more consistent to be able to continue playing every single week, and for us to get into that second and third and second spot, and to try and like challenge for that, we need more. And although it looks good and looks great, I want to see more, and I just can't see what I want, if you get what I mean. Yeah, I hope he can do it. I hope it does come to fruition, but I'm just thinking when I'm watching him, that's why he doesn't play for Brazil. He's there behind certain players because they have a bit more end product about them. So I want to see him push to make that, to get to the end product that we want to see. Goals and assists, much more clinical, much more decisive with taking players on, finding a man. You don't even have to cross it. Just find your man. Find a way to find your man. But that leads me on to striker. There is a striker out there that's become available. We've been talking about him for a little while. And this piece of news, João Felix, Arsenal, Chelsea, Man United on red alert as they set 86 mil price tag. That's actually, I like that price. I actually do like that price. And I do love this guy. He's absolutely flourishing, especially now that Cristiano's sat down on the bench. He's looking better, man. He's looking better. He's looking very good. Exactly. It's like what we had with the Bruno situation. Bruno was playing with Cristiano, and we was all like, man, it seems like he just wants to facilitate everything for Cristiano. And then he goes, and he's no longer in the side. And funnily enough, Mr. Bruno starts playing well, even better. So I think the same thing's happening with João. What do you think, Hakeem?
No, I agree. I mean, but I don't see João Felix as an out-and-out striker, though. He's like, he's like a number 10-y, roamy around everywhere sort of place. Yeah. Again, the problem that we've had for years is that anytime we see a hole we've got, we don't fill it. We had a hole
the right thing
where Casemiro's been since, which is a very topical conversation, since Roy Keane. We've had a hole there since then, and we've never filled it, and we just keep buying loads of different players. We've had a hole in defence for years. We're not filling it. We get Cristiano Ronaldo. Now we've got a hole up front, and we keep trying to find these like, let's get a Christian Eriksen, let's get a João Felix, let's get someone to come off the left, let's get an. You're thinking, just go out and buy. There's a hole there, go and fill it. So I'd love to have João Felix there because he's a quality player. But you're thinking, all right, where does he play then? Because he's not done that. He's not been that good in Spain, and he's doing well. He's played well in 3 games. So I think to pay 86 million for someone who played well in 3 games, and I think the Premier League significantly harder than the Spanish league. I would be very nervous. I think if you've got 86 million to spend and you're going to get Gakpo, I'd rather get Gakpo and then one other who wasn't João Felix. I like him. He's a talented player, but does he get me that excited? Not really.
Okay. Garth, what you got to say about this guy?
Yeah, after I looked into him properly, I couldn't agree with Hakeem anymore. For a start, he ain't a striker. Not what we need. Not at all. You look at his goal record, it's 33 goals in 129 games. That's not good enough at all, period. 86 mil, absolutely not. I know he's playing for Atletico Madrid and they play a very different style of football. I just don't think he's as good as a lot of people are saying he is. I really don't. He doesn't excite me. Exactly what Kane's saying. I don't see what you're saying, Dave. I don't see it, mate. You know what I mean? If we were going to get Gakpo, and obviously people will be saying, you just see it because of the World Cup, but before the World Cup, I was talking about that Giancarlo Ramos. I'd get Gakpo and Ramos if we're talking about a Portuguese striker. Like 100%. I would stay firmly away from Felix for that money. And I agree with someone in the comments, 86 mil, it's not going to be 86 mil. It'll be more than 86 mil all told. He's going to want 250 grand a week. It's another flash in the pan, in my opinion. It really is another flash in the pan signing that we don't need.
Yeah. Well, look, for me, I look at things a little bit differently, as you guys know. As we know, Gakpo ain't really a striker either, so we shouldn't be going for either of them if that's the case. But in terms of what I see as abilities, I know he's at Atletico Madrid and his goal ratio is not great. He plays in the Bruno position for them, and we know that they play very defensive and they try and get out on the attack, and that's why they've not been able to make the best of him. I see that he's got good pace, he's got great technical ability, and he's got awareness, and he's got that inventiveness about him, and he can finish. So when I see all of that about him, and I look at our other players that we've got, and I just think of how they would mesh together, it's more of, I can see that working as a trio where they all can kind of interchange and go where they want, because Rashford plays up top, plays middle. Martial plays up top, plays left. Sancho plays right, plays left. You've got Anthony who can play right and can come on the left every now and then. So when you've got that kind of fluidity up front, the ball will always land to someone, and one of those three should be able to do a job. That's what I can see in my mind, because that's the way I look at things sometimes. I don't always just look at the goals. I did look at that and I thought, he hasn't really played up front that much. He's actually been in the hole. He plays in Bruno's position. And then, he rarely score as many. So, but then it's just, my eyes are telling me something else as well. So I'm excited to see what would happen there. And if there is truth in this, and Ten Hag, I heard that he was interested and he did ask about him. So I don't know if he's thinking along the same lines as what, he must be thinking that it will work, because he wouldn't have asked about him. So I'd like to see, if they do, then we'd like to see what happens. I get you guys' point though. I do fully understand where you guys are coming from as well. So yeah, I would rather, in an ideal world, you're looking at a Harry Kane, aren't we? We're looking at a Harry Kane who's an out and out number 9, or some other type, an Osimhen who plays in the 9. Talking about the position. I know you ain't.
Let's not start this live, shall we? Let's not start this live.
That world-class business talk, do we?
I think if it's a toss-up, because to my mind, you've got to look for what you need and the value as well. Gakpo is going to get you more goals, in my opinion. Gakpo is going to be 55 mil compared to 86 mil for Felix, who doesn't score goals. It's just like, and then you've got, because as you said, I think João Felix is like an Eriksen / Bruno.
It's more like a Bruno, isn't he?
Yeah, and you're already struggling really to get them both in the same team if you want power and pace. So to then bring another person in who's like of that, then you're going to have to drop one of those two, who are our most creative players at the moment. Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying, but it's just like I think we've got bigger issues. I'd rather we get like a backup. You get Gakpo, you get a backup for someone like Casemiro, you get a backup for Martinez, because if either of those get injured, we're stuffed.
Yeah,
we're already stuffed.
See, that's. Yeah, I'd say that this one, with 86 mil to spend, like as well as the 55 for Gakpo, you're going to get Gakpo. I'd go and get Gvardiol straight away. I wouldn't even blink an eyelid about the Croatian centre back. I would and I'm sorry, Varane. I know you're mustard, but I've got to look to the future. So this is what I mean. The price is too steep for me. I really think it'd be a lot more than 86 mil as well. Steve, our fella, like he was saying, more like 100. You're looking at straight away. It's just too rich for my blood for Felix at the moment, and he ain't proved himself. And I know both of you saying he's more like a Bruno, but he's more like a 10-10. He ain't like a Bruno or an Eriksen. He does play in the forward third really all the time. He's not dropping deep, so he is a striker, and who doesn't score goals. I know it's Atletico Madrid, and they're just boring. So I know he can't, but yeah, at that price, it's just too rich for my blood, man. It really is.
No worries. We can agree to disagree.
Yeah.
No worries. We got Steve K saying, just keep in mind, Atletico do not lose money when they sell players. Felix will get eaten up in the Premier League. And Eric Ten Hag, MBE, says, how much did AM pay for Felix?
103 million euros, weren't it?
It was over 100 mil, that's for sure.
Yeah, in euros, though, weren't it? In euros. So it's probably about 80-something mil at the time, English. So...
Paul James says Varane looks well off in the World Cup. Yeah, he just come back and he's been out for a little while now. He just make sure he's not injured by the time he gets back to Carrington. That's all I want to know. I just want to make sure he's still there, because I don't want to see other players playing at the back. I want to see Martinez and I want to see Varane at centre back again. And I want to see him talking to Mbappe. Listen, getting in his ear. Listen, just come to us. Come and join us. Come and join us.
So that's worth 200 mil. That's worth 200 mil. And as on Varane, I'm not saying that I would go in my team. I'm just saying if we've got that money to spend, I would replace Varane. But Varane's our best centre back without a shadow of a doubt. I just mean if we could afford that, I'd replace Varane with Guardiola. So, because I've been saying for that. I've been saying that kid. You know what I mean? At the start of the season, I was talking about that kid. I really thought we should have got it. That's another one that we were just talking about in the messages again. That's one of the ones that Ragnick was like, "You've got to get this kid," and Man United were like, "Nah." But no, we'll wait. And now he's worth like 130 mil. So it's madness.
Can you believe all of the names that Ragnick reeled off that he wanted? And
yeah, it's crazy. Yeah,
nothing about them all. Oh my goodness me! Alvarez at City, Vlahovic. Who else was there now?
Gakpo was one of them. Gakpo was one of them. Yeah, Gravadi. That's what I mean. I think there was 10. Not all of them were super, but all of them now are prospects, basically. Yeah, it's madness, man. You know, but I do understand where the ball were coming from. They knew they were getting another manager in 4 months' time, and they'd have to go through this all again, spend another 200 mil for his players like we did. You know what I mean? So I get it. But yeah, no, we should have done it. We definitely should have done it.
Yeah, but you know what? Here's another thing. Guys, we'll start in a second. But one thing's for sure, we've just heard Dubravka is leaving at the end of the season, and no surprise, is it? He's not had any game time, and he's going to get himself off and go back to Newcastle or something and go wherever he wants, and probably be higher position than us at the end of the season. But you know, good luck to him, because it's not really anything I was expecting. I wanted something different anyway. So you know, but yeah. Look,
yeah, I never thought he was a good. Like, he was there just to cover Dean Henderson, weren't they? That was it. He come in. I know some people wanted him to take De Gea's place, but he ain't good enough to be taking De Gea's place in a million years. You know what I mean? In a million years.
No chances he coming in any games, in even the cup game. Leave it out. De Gea, you're my man. Every single time we want to win every game, he says. So we're not changing up the defender goalkeeper. One of the things though is I was looking at the league table, and United. They're currently in 5th spot. Newcastle are in 3rd with 30 points. Man City 32. Arsenal 38. I think. No, they're 5 points there. They're 37 points. They are absolutely flying. But United are on 0 goal difference. We're pretty much flat bang. There's no goals. Nothing to do with goals to help us. But second half of the season, Hakeem, you know, we've got Martial back, Varane coming back. We've got, obviously, Casemiro now bedded in fully. We've got Anthony now in back fit. We've got pretty much a full squad to choose from. We've got players who are currently on fire at the World Cup pretty much. Our players are at the top of their morale. Where do you see us being able to get for the rest of this season?
It's a difficult one, isn't it? I mean, as Alex Ferguson used to say, you don't really look at. I don't even look at anything until January. End of January when I start looking at it. Because I mean, was it 3 seasons ago? When we were top of the league and people were getting a bit carried away with Ollie, you know, it makes absolutely difference. I still think we'll finish above Arsenal. To be honest, I think they're going to have a typical Arsenal collapse.
You look crazy.
Yeah.
No, Christmas Arsenal crumble, mate, with a bit of custard, bruv. I'm looking forward to it, mate.
Honestly, I mean, it happens all the time. You know, I think Arteta is the master of snatching defeat out of the jaws of victory. I think he'll do it again this season because they haven't got any depth in squad depth at all.
No.
And you're always going to get some injuries as soon as you get into this heavy period a bit, and it starts becoming cold. And Arsenal haven't been tested, really. They've had a couple of tests. You know, the first one was against us, and they crumbled completely. And they should have beaten us, actually. So I don't think the mentality is quite right. Tottenham, I'm waiting for the normal effect that the manager has, where they're going to start arguing and start, cursing each other, because he had the pawn shot. Because he's not going to win it.
For sure.
So as soon as he realised he's not going to win it, he's going to start having. He started having hissy fits, didn't he? So I think when I look at Erik ten Hag, this is the first time that I've seen a manager at United since Fergie where he's got a plan. It's not, it doesn't mean he's going to win every game, but he's got a plan, and you can see. Number one, he's put the right mentality into the players, so they're actually playing properly. Number two, they're you know, they're playing with a freedom. That Tottenham game we played in was probably the first game in about 8 or 9 years I've watched, and I thought, bloody hell, I'm actually enjoying watching the Man United performance. They were playing well. They were actually passing each other. So I think it's just about getting some consistency, because when you look at what Ten Hag has done, you know, you're only talking about 4 months.
Yeah.
We were an absolute basket case, the laughing stock of English football within that short period of time. And now Ronaldo's gone as well, because, you know, even though he wasn't playing Ronaldo's still a sideshow, a distraction. So now he's got that out. He's almost like put his stamp on the club, saying, right, I am the boss. Right, now let's just get back to work. And I am still confident we'll get top 4. So I don't know where we'll come in the top 4, but we haven't played that well. We started off disastrously, and we're in 5th place.
Yeah. And Ten Hag, MBE says, I'll take 4th now. Miss Piggy also says, a Spanish newspaper said Madrid wanted 140 million euros for Felix. So you guys are spot on.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, we know where we get our information from, this man right here. So yeah, we always spot on when he's coming with the chat. But Garth,
like I said to him, we're going to keep naming him in case it ain't right. Then there's someone to blame out there, isn't there? You know what I mean? That's how I keep saying it. We're going to finish. Like, listen, for a start, people laughed at me when I did the transfer exchange show, the pre-season. I was like, you got to watch Newcastle, people. You got to watch them. They're going to be so on it. They're going to buy players. You've got January coming now, so I think they're out like. That really takes away one of them spots. I do believe Arsenal crumble. I do believe Spurs, like exactly what you said about Conte, that fierce if it's thrown. So I do think we make top 4 if we keep going the way we're going. But it's getting tighter and tighter up there now, isn't it? You know, I think Man City run away with it in the end. And obviously Arsenal, Jesus has gone, isn't it? Jesus is out, 3.5, 4 months now.
Yeah. Is it?
Yeah. He's just had a knee operation on his MCL, is it? I might be wrong there. So I mean, Steve's in the chat. He'll tell us he's had a knee operation, and they're talking like 2, 3, 4 months.
Miss Piggy says,
I know they're 11 points ahead of us. I know that, I just think without, like exactly like he said, their squad depth is so weak. It's so paper thin that the moment they lose a couple of players, that they don't win games, and 11 points evaporates just like that. It really does. It's just gone. Maybe I'm wrong.
You know what, Garth? I think every other team apart from City could make up that 11 points if they drop the 11 points. I don't think anyone else is going to be able to just make up all them points. I think we'll just drop points as they drop points, and they'll just eventually stay ahead of us. I think they've done enough already to just get ahead of us, because we've made too many mistakes so far with the early games and losing. I think we still got a few more losses in us as well anyway. And we're not the finished article, so I can't see us actually getting. I think the best we can hope for is 3rd, and that's going to be tough because, as you said, Newcastle on fire, and they've got 1 game in hand. But remember, St. Maximan ain't even played some of the games. Like when he's there, they look a total different threat. Like they're a ridiculous threat. And then they're going to probably bring in more players in January. You got Spurs who are on it they're not really on it. If you get what I mean, it's like they become very hard to beat, and they just keep winning games with your Sons, your Kulusevski and Kane, and yeah, it's tight, man. It's tight. I'm saying we are going to be between 3rd and 6th, and that's it. We're going to be between 3rd and 6th this year, and it all depends on if everybody stays fit from now to the end of the season. I can see us actually having a carbon copy amount of points as the first half of the season. I don't know why, but I just got a feeling. So whatever that is, let's remember what it is, and let's see if we actually have a carbon copy. Because
we've only played a third of the season, ain't we? So that'd be really bad for us, Nathan. You know, I mean, that'd be really, really bad for us, mate.
Maybe not. No, we ain't even.
Well, 14. Yeah, it's 38 in it. So you know what I'm saying. We still got 24 games to go, mate. Yeah,
right.
No, I mean,
exact half point, and then I'm going to say exactly half of what we did. But
let me just go back to Arsenal with you for a second. I see Miss Piggy saying crazy. They've lost Jesus for that amount of time, so all they've got is Nketiah. That's it. I don't think we lose points like they do. You know what I mean? Like I really don't think. I can see Arsenal without. If they say they lose Saka next. And they've got no Saka, no Hayes. I know we're talking hypotheticals here, but their squad is so paper thin, man. You're talking about bringing like Pinheiro, where his name is, out of the youth team to play from another position.
Isn't it that player who they got from Brazil? Isn't it that he can come in or do so? But anyway, yeah, you're right. If on the right they lose him or Martinelli, It's a bit harder, but I think Nketiah could fill in for some games.
But it's not just that, though. If you look at that team and you take Jesus out of it, it's the same team they had last season, basically. And Jesus, he's not necessarily a goal scorer, but he holds up the ball and plays everyone else in. Without him, they have Nketiah is not him. The ball bounces off Nketiah all the time, and he doesn't score many goals.
But didn't they have a good time, like mid-time last year, when they was really killing it, and then they come up against a lot of the better sides and started losing a bit? But are you basically trying to say, no, they've got what's his name at the back, innit? Saliba's in.
Yeah, they fell apart. Oh, yeah, he's all right. But they
he is all right.
They're about 7 or 8 points. With a few games to go, they're about 7 or 8 points ahead in fourth place, and they lost all those points in like a few games.
That was the big games though. That was against like your City, then your Liverpool, then your Chelsea. They had like mad games coming up, and everyone. Was
but they've got that coming again.
They've still got to play them people.
They haven't even played City yet once. No. So Arsenal are bringing in 2 players in January, big players. All right, Steve, we'll see who they are, and we'll see what.
That sounds like hopeful thinking, mate. That one.
I think
Arsenal don't spend in January,
and that's the point as well, isn't it? Because you're basing your opinion, Nathan, on our current team. So even with our current team, which hasn't been that great, what I look at is progression. And when you're looking at coaches, I'm always looking at, okay, so have they improved players? If Ten Hag can do to some of our other players what he's done to Dalot, who to me is like the best right back in the world, I can't actually believe he's the same player, and then do what he's done to Rashford, who was like been missing in action for 2 years. All of a sudden, he's back to his best. So if Ten Hag can do that, now Ronaldo's gone, and you bring in a couple of other players, that's a solid team. And now Casemiro, he's now started playing. Casemiro looked absolutely phenomenal. Unbelievable. He didn't play for like the first, 6 or 7 games. He wasn't playing properly. All of a sudden, he's now holding down a position. Bruno's now started to play properly. Eriksen's still there. When I look at that team, it's a quality team. And then Martial's coming back.
If Varane's back, if they're back, it's over. We're going to win the majority of games.
Yeah.
I just don't know if we get someone in, it'll make me think a bit differently and if Martial can actually play every game from now, then it'll make a big difference. But if we're going to have to continually, hope that certain players start picking up, and it just hurts, innit, when you're watching the players and they're just not picking up certain players, and you're just like, man, we if everyone was just on fire, we'll be flying. And it's weird because there's been times where Sancho was on fire in the last year. If he was just like that now, Rashford's on fire now, but then last year was like, Rashford, you're nowhere to be seen. If you could just be on fire like you used to be, we'll be on fire. And then, it's one of them ones. And we need to get everybody on the same path and on the same kind of positivity. And I think we'll do all right. Same team as last year, Steve says. In his last
we've upset Steve now.
Hey, Steve, we're coming after you in the group, by the
way. We're talking about teams. The 2 teams we haven't mentioned, though, are Liverpool and Chelsea. Do either of you see them actually making moves?
Yes.
Do you see them getting up this table? Yes. There's another one. I know. I don't think they're challenging Arsenal, but that's the top 4.
What are you saying?
Chelsea. No, I don't think Chelsea will.
Liverpool, I don't think so. But you're all look. Liverpool just seems, because I've watched a lot of Liverpool this season, and I've got
some news for you guys as well.
They're just missing something. I don't know what it is, but they just don't seem to have that same killer instinct, and they look slow. Because you used to watch Liverpool 2-3 seasons ago. They came out, they're 3-0 up after about 5 minutes. They just blitzed you off. And what I noticed about Liverpool, even back then, if you could hold them for 20 minutes, you had a chance. Because they used to smash you in the first 10-15 minutes. All of a sudden, they're coming out, they're slow, they're laborious. I mean, obviously, they've lost Mane, which is, to my mind, is one of the biggest losses that any team has had. Because Mane 100%. Starts to press, he scores goals. When they're really desperate and they're not playing well, he'll pop up and do something. Now they haven't got anyone like that at all. So I'm not sure. I keep thinking because he's got Klopp, then they're going to do something, and he's just got that sort of thing. But that Darwin Núñez, he's not at it yet. He's not at it.
He ain't looking 100 mil at the moment, is he? He ain't looking 100 mil at all at the moment. So.
You know what, guys? I got a bit of gossip, which I'm not going to give you the details yet, but there's some unrest between players at Liverpool.
Good.
and it's
Ooh.
one of the biggest names.
Marvelous.
Yeah.
So that's why that has a big, I think I've been speaking to someone who was saying that has a massive effect on the club, the player morale between all the players, and
Marvelous.
it's not a good one.
Continue.
It's
Yeah,
not
was that like, is that a Ronaldo thing? Is it the dressing room split? Is it like,
it's
ooh,
like
ooh.
a John Terry one. So yeah, it's not good news.
Yeah, well, couldn't happen to a better team. Couldn't happen to a
I
better
don't know
team.
what's true or what's not, but
No, exactly. Yeah, no.
I've spoken to someone who said they spoke to one of the players directly. So I'm not saying nothing more. I'm going to say
You tease. You absolute tease.
Is there for a reason. That's why they're playing so bad. So yeah.
But yeah, can I just say, King, that I honestly did not realise how much Liverpool relied on Mane until he went. Like, I didn't realise, I didn't watch Liverpool that much, but he clearly, like exactly what you just said, like started that press, score goals was a real key element to that team because they have not looked like I appreciate Diaz and Jota as well, but they don't look anything like what he can do. So it's madness to me that one player has caused that much missing. So madness.
He opens up like the doors for everyone else, isn't it? It makes everyone have to double team him, so then other players are free and 1-on-1. So that's what Salah was, having so much joy with. But one of the things before we get onto the mad debate, it's about Eric Ten Hag.
Selling me down the river, you boys, ain't you? What's going on here?
Ten Hag has come in and he's transformed the side. And we're looking real, like, we're really making big strides to where we need to get. So, Hakeem, tell me what mark out of 10 you'll give him so far, and how how quickly he's changed things around, and how it looks like it's here for the long haul.
I'll give him a 9 out of 10, and I'd only take the mark off because we're obviously not higher up the table. But if you look at where Ollie left, and I'm not. I think we had it on the group. I don't blame Ollie because Ollie's got the ability. He's got. No one's going to turn down the Man United job, but he wasn't equipped for the job. But with what he was equipped to do, he got a feel-good factor back into the players, but he was a bit weak with actually. He wasn't a manager of a team or men. But then Ragnick, bloody hell, he absolutely ripped the soul out of that club, and we're in massive disarray. So for anyone to come in and get even a slight tune out of that team is unbelievable. And just in terms of getting my enjoyment back in watching Man United, because last season, you're watching them because you're a Man United fan, but I just wasn't enjoying it at all. It's horrible. Whereas all of a sudden, I'm now starting to enjoy it. And I just think of what you can see is he's got a plan. And what I liked about him is he came in, he thought, I'm going to do ticky-tacky around the back. It was an absolute disaster in the first few games and thought, forget that. I just want to win a game. And he completely changed up for Liverpool, won the game. And then actually, he's now started playing around at the back again, but he's doing it in a sensible way. He's obviously coached De Gea because De Gea's not kicking out of play every 2 minutes when he's trying to do a long pass. He's obviously practiced there. And I say again, what he's done with Dalot is like short of remarkable. Now, to be fair, I remember Jose Mourinho was saying that Dalot was the best right-sided player in Portugal when he bought him. And everyone was like, oh, what? But, he's been on loan. He's not being played. I mean, to be played behind Wan-Bissaka, and Wan-Bissaka's been as bad as he is, and you cannot get a game, most players would just thought, forget that, I'm going. But he's stuck in there, and then Ten Hag's come, and that guy, I actually can't. He's the most improved player I've seen since Frank Lampard. When Frank Lampard went from West Ham to Chelsea, you think, what's happened to this guy? And then the same thing. And then I look at Rashford. I look at the players, and he's brought in people like Martinez, who's like a short version of Sergio Ramos. And all of a sudden, I saw even Dalot tracking back, putting a tackle in, and high fiving. They didn't care about defending before. All of a sudden, keeping a clean sheet, and then Casemiro. So I just look at he's brought in some good players, and he's coaching the existing players. That's why I give him a 9 out of 10. I'm impressed with him. Exceptional.
Yeah. Eric says, King Eric says, one of the best coaches in Europe. Fezzi says, Ten Hag's been fantastic. Steve says he's going to call me after the show. And
Yeah, you'll fight. I guess Nathan's phone's going to be off after this. So if you need to get hold of him, get hold of him now. You know.
What you
10
telling me?
again. I mean, Hakeem again, mate. I couldn't agree more. I was going to give him a 9. Basically, exactly what you said. The only reason he's down on a down point is bad start of the season. He's made a couple of what I'd call schoolboy errors in team selections here and there, which he had to learn on the job with, and he's learned on the job with. You know what I mean? So exactly what you said. I haven't enjoyed watching Man United like this in a number of years. So yes, a 9 out of 10. Exactly what he's done at Dallo. Exactly what he said. Mourinho said he was going to be Man United's right back for 12 years, didn't he? That's what he come out with. So so. I mean, we've got to get that contract on him locked down, because otherwise we've got to sell him in the summer, because he's only got 1 year after that. So we really need to get that contract in. But yeah, he did really well at AC Landau, didn't he? And then come back and again, you're behind Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Cool. I feel for Wan-Bissaka as well, though. I do, because he's just gone now. Isn't he? Nothing's happening. He's out. So, but yeah, 9 out of 10 definitely. It's the most hope I've had about a Man United team actually winning something in ages, and that was with us even going to a final with Solskjaer. You know what I'm saying? Even then, I've still got more hope now that we actually get a trophy. So yeah, solid 9.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to give him a 10. Hag.
No, he's going 10.
No, I'll give him a 9 because no, you know what? I am going to give him a 10. Hag, because
Oh,
you know why I did that?
It wasn't any better the second time, Nathan.
I'm going to give him a 10 Hag. Third time, yeah, perfect.
God, yeah. Jokes always get better on the third go round, mate.
Nah, it's because when he comes in, you know he wants to enforce his rules and his team into the side, but he knows that there's players who are also they're the mainstays at the time, and he wanted to not just take them out so people can have something to say. He let them play, let them kill themselves off, then made the change straight away. So I like that. He knew he was gonna have to get burnt to then kick on, and he did it, and he did the right things. And I feel like he's made the right decisions in everything that he's done so far. Even if I didn't see it coming, and he does it, and we go and win the game, we go and play really well. We do what we need to do. And in terms of Dalot, see how funny it is? Like, when you're not playing week in, week out, and you come into the side, you look a bag of crap. And that's what Dalot looked like. He looked like he couldn't defend to save his life. But now, playing every single week, guess what's happened to Wan-Bissaka? He looks like he can't defend to save his life. Yes. That's the difference between the person who we said was actually the best defender, one-on-one, in the world, pretty much. I don't think there's many better than him defending one-on-one. And look at that. Now, where tables are completely turned and we're saying Dalot's now so much better than Wan-Bissaka. It is a lot to do with one thing that we was talking about last year. There was no structure to Man United at all. So when you try and get forward and try and put balls in and players not even making the runs, it comes to nothing. And that's what happened a lot last year. And now, this is what I mean. A bit of structure, Rashford starts playing well. Dalot plays well. McTominay looks better. Everyone looks better because everyone knows where they've got to make runs to. And the game just opens up. Then you can play off the cuff out of it from a framework. So, yeah, Ten Hag has done absolutely amazing.
Can I ask you a question, actually, Nathan? Because I've been thinking about this. You know, obviously, every player had a debrief, don't they, after the match?
Yeah.
So, let's take the City match last year, where Wan-Bissaka was out of position every single time. They go, oh, look at bloody who was it? Who was playing on his side? What's that? The City player, the one, Foden. It's Foden, and they said Foden's had an unbelievable game. I'm thinking, no, he's not. Foden's just standing there, and Wan-Bissaka's halfway up the pitch. and I kept thinking, so hang on, how is it when you have a debrief? Surely you have a debrief, and they say, look, you're never in position, but then the next game he's not in position. The game after that he's not in position. And you're thinking, how is it that nobody's screaming at him from the sidelines, saying the guy's standing behind you? And one of the reasons why he looks like such a good defender is because he's quick. Because actually, he's always out of position, so he gets back in and makes a challenge. But people like Rio never had to do that because they're in the right position in the first place. Yeah. So don't look at as good because they're not having to make last-minute clearances and all that sort of stuff. But so Wan-Bissaka, it's not even his defending; it's just positioning is so poor. He's like yesterday was just classic Wan-Bissaka. You see the guy running, and you see Wan-Bissaka about a mile away from him. And you're thinking, what are you doing there? So I'm just standing there.
So, what was the question in that one then?
So the debrief.
Yeah. So, the
Who
thing with that,
debriefed him? What do you say at the debrief?
no, I'm thinking that when I watched that game, it looked like, especially that Liverpool game that I'm looking back to, I felt like he was given specific instructions to push up high straight onto that man, and then it left the problem behind. So sometimes your instructions that you're given from the coaching staff, that might have been completely wrong for what we have. But I think no matter what we did, whether we went up then and then in that game, whether we pushed up, whether we sat back, we didn't have nothing. We weren't even a team then. We were going to get slapped no matter what. And we just chose the wrong way of doing things. And we got slapped totally to pieces. So what I'm saying is, it looked like the minute it goes there, you need to get in tight and get right up the field and press real high. And funnily enough, I was just talking to a friend of mine. He was actually talking to me about some stuff. He was just running through some stuff for an international side that he does scouting for the manager, and he was kind of going over it with me yesterday to see what I thought. And he was exactly talking about these things, what he wants his team to do to beat a Spain, for example. So he was like, what do you do? Do you let them play, or do you push up on them tight and make them want man on man? And that's basically what I think happened in that game. It's all horses for courses, and so what you got to do, and who can actually deliver what the manager's saying. And I think, like, you know, we know when he was playing every week, I loved him defensively. He's just crap going forward. So, you know, I'm not gonna kill him defensively. I think he's one of our better defenders. Again, you might be right more about his positioning a bit, but look, he did get back. He did win every challenge. He did put people like Sterling in his pocket and everyone else that was on the wings in his pocket.
Not
Apart from Adama. Yeah. Apart from Adama.
To be fair though, didn't he pocket Mbappe one in that game as well? That everyone was banging on about. Like, he pocketed Mbappe one. But I know, I agree with in the Paris Saint-Germain game, didn't he? Was that not him?
No, it's Wendy, because he kept cutting into Wendy. He couldn't get back Wendy in that game at all. And
yeah, it was. Yeah, you know, you're right. Yeah.
And he hasn't really played since.
Well, look, guys, it's time for that question. It's time for the question. Everybody, Wan-Bissaka, no competition for that.
Right, so it's been a pleasure, lads. I'm going to leave you two to discuss this.
Oh my gosh, guys, in the comments, we'd like to hear your views on this one.
Yeah, I don't think I will, but let's go.
Should we actually? Let me just write it in before I say anything. Is Mr. Well, let's see what you guys think of this one. I'm going to say Mr. Keane. Is Mr. Keane world class? That's the question, guys, in the comments.
Robbie Keane was a great striker, mate. Scored many goals. Like, he's also.
Is Roy Keane world-class central midfielder? For me, like I said before, I think if we was to find him in a team today, he'd be more like a Casemiro or a Herrera. That when we had Herrera, he could play one of those two positions. I think it'll be a 6 or an 8. So if you want to compare him with someone, it would be someone in a 6 or an 8, the younger years versus older years or something like that. Eric says 100% world class. 100%, not even 30%, 100%. Hey, listen, this guy, I'm not even going to talk. I'm going to say my stuff last. I want everyone else to say what they're saying. Unless shall we start with Mr. Garth anyway?
Yeah, come on, let's get it out. No, I don't think Roy Keane was ever world class. Period. He was a great baller. So we've had the comment. I'm not going to get into my conversations about why class is world class, but I will stick with what I said at the time, which is of his era. I can name off the top of my head 20 centre midfielders I'd have over him, and that's off the top of my head without even doing like some serious research on it. And I don't think you can be calling someone who's going to, in my book, 25th in the world class. I just don't. He was a great battler. He was a decent centre midfielder. Obviously, I've got my problems with what he did as a I've got my problems with him as a man, and I know that was the whole conversation. I'm going to just talk about technical ability so that we can leave it on that level. I don't think he was technically. Even with everything I said, I still don't believe technically he was a world class midfielder. I really don't. You're saying 6 or an 8, Pirlo. much like just straight like Davids, I think was better than him. Vieira, I think was better than him. You know, like there's so many centre midfielders of his era that I think were better than him. I really do. So Seedorf, like I can just keep going on with them. I really can. So no, for me, great player, international class.
So do you think he was pivotal for United in all them years when they won all that stuff and they kept winning everything? Don't you think he was like very, very influential in that team being so hard to beat? Him being such a captain who was dragging his team along in games. Don't you think that was something where it was just you can Mr. Dependable? Well, didn't you think that's the case?
I love that, Nate. I'm just going to talk about technical ability. You've gone straight to. So, admittedly, wasn't he just a great leader, mate? You know what I mean? Like, yes, there's no two ways about it. But that team was full of leaders as well, man. He did drag a team up. Like, yeah, he was mentally strong. I'll give you that. But like this is what we're talking about. For me, Roy Keane's one of them players that would not survive the modern game. Period. Like he just wouldn't because of his aggression and his levels. Like he wouldn't survive it. I don't think. But he's a great player, but no, I don't class even his leadership abilities. For me, don't put him into the same bracket of that top hemisphere player. You know what I mean? Yeah, but I can see this is my point. I can say that about every single player in that 1999 team. So what was Teddy Sheringham world class? No, he wasn't. Was Solskjaer world class? No, he wasn't. I can go through every single member of that team. They were all influential. Without any one of them, we wouldn't have won the treble. So no, I know what he's trying to say. The goal against Juventus is what I'm guessing he's getting at. But no, that's not a reason to put someone in world class category for me. Come on, here we go, get the jumper off, mate. This is how you do the cost of living crisis, mate. We talk about Roy Keane, mate. Warms me right up. Warms me right up.
Hey, listen. Let's just dangle the rope. Let him get.
But I do know before Hakeem, sorry, mate. I do know that I am in the minority on this one. I do know that.
Roy Keane is the king. Without Roy Keane, he wouldn't have won the treble. Seriously, Keane is a world class. He's a master, world class for me. Not even a debate. Love Roy Keane, world class all day long. King Eric, world class. Is there anybody who's gonna say he's not world class? Hakeem, what you got to say on this guy?
Well, interestingly enough, my opinion has sort of like started to shift and change after the debates that we've been having. Because mine
has too.
I would have definitely historically said, yeah, he's world class. But then you start thinking, actually, as a person our group says, I might be a bit too nostalgic. When Garth started listing people like Seedorf, who were playing at the same time, you know, Davids, Zidane, those sort of, you start thinking, well, actually, he's not in that class, is he really? And then when you start talking about you've got world class and international class, he is definitely world class in terms of my opinion, in terms of influence on that team. Because when you took him out, we just weren't the same team. And then also, the way he played evolved. Because actually, when he first came to Man United, when he came from Nottingham Forest, he was a box-to-box midfielder who was scoring goals. Then obviously he had a few injuries, and he started becoming more of a defensive centre mid, who was basically holding everything, and then because he can play, he was then laying everything off. So I would say if he had stayed fit as that box-to-box, I don't think there'd have been even a debate. But he became a real solid person who broke up the play, very aggressive. And the thing is, as well, I think Garth's right. The way we play now, I love that aggressive football. Not as aggressive, not as aggressive as Roy Keane could be, but nowadays it's like you see midfielders and they're like pansies. It's like they roll over 15 times. You can't touch them. Whereas Roy Keane got stuck in. And also I think the problem he's got is because he was so hard. Because I go back and watch a lot of these games because he's so hard. People forget how good technically he was. You know,
I think he was great.
Volleys, volleys from the edge of the box. Curlers from the edge of the box, headers. He could do pretty much everything. And I think that Casemiro, in what I've seen, is at modern day world class actually. In terms of if I look at him compared to what's around, and I think he's the only one that I've seen since Roy Keane in that Man United team who is actually even fit to lace his boots. Because since Roy Keane retired, 15 years ago or something, we've not had anybody who can do anything that Roy Keane can do. Because I think Roy Keane could do most of it. Obviously, towards the end,
he could do everything.
He went Ronaldo-esque, didn't he? At the end, as he started losing his ability. If you take out that last bit up to that point, I go back to what year was it? It was 95, 96 when we had what's his name? when we had we had Keane and what's the black guy called who went to
Ince, Paul Ince.
Yeah, that midfield. I looked at that. There's just no weakness. It's just like
strong as hell.
Anyone against us, we're winning that game. We're winning that midfield battle. So I would say, if I look at those other players you just named, then you can't put him in. I don't think you can put him in the same class as Seedorf. He's just a very different player. But certainly, I think for Man United, he was world class. That's a complete and utter cop out. Do you want
to paint that fence? Do you want to paint that fence while you're sitting on it, mate? You know what I mean? You can do it, Lick. Can I just answer Billy Van Persie beat quickly? That comment he put there about it ain't just Seedorf, man. It ain't just Seedorf. There's a plethora of players I'm talking about.
I'm going to go through by the way, guys.
When it comes down, when you're putting a player 20th, 25th on the list of people in his position, which I would around that area, then all of those are world class. I know we said there was a lot of world class players back in the day, but come on, no, it's not that. It's not just because Seedorf is better. It's because all of these players are better.
Yeah.
So.
You know what? We were all talking about this world class thing in the group. We were all going crazy about who's world class, who's not, and I kind of tried to make it in my head of how I see world class. And what I said was like, world class player is someone who can get into every single team. Now, obviously, if you're looking at a team like a Barcelona with Messi in, and then you might want to choose Messi over that other striker, you still can say he can get into that side. So it still would be world class for me. Someone who can turn up on any day and destroy anybody. That's what I believe is a world class player. So I decided to mix it into different groups. I've got world class, who are the top of the top, who just are unstoppable, untouchable players. Then you've got your international class, players who play well for their international side. They're obviously international players, but they're not quite the very best of the best, the cream of the crop. Then you got domestic class, those who are really good in their country, playing for their domestic team, your players who are in the English team, in the English league, scoring a good amount of goals every year, but they get into the international side, but don't quite become regulars, if you get what I mean. Then you got your premium class, who are players who score your few but don't get into international. Then you got your economy class. So that's where
no premium economy, one in between, just with a bit of extra leg room there. Just a little bit of extra leg room.
So let me just give you a few names of the players I put in my world class: Ronaldo 9, CR7, Zidane, Messi, Pele, Maradona, Kaká, Mbappe. I'm putting Haaland already in there as a world-class player that I've seen because I can see his world-class abilities. Figo, Ronaldinho, Iniesta, Xavi, Rivaldo, Cafu, Jaap Stam, Nesta, Scholes, and I actually want to say Gerrard. But then look at the names that I'm going to say now in international class. They're top names, but not in that bracket. Your Hazard, who reached it for like a year or so. Lewandowski, Harry Kane, your Rooney, who is top notch, but he's not at R9, is he? Your Tevez, your Ruud van Nistelrooy, your Roy Keanes, your Foden, who could become a world class, your Lampard, your Ibrahimovic, your Shevchenkos. They're the kind of players who are in the international class. And I know you might want to throw someone in there. Everyone's got their little differences.
Oh, yeah.
Then when you talk about domestic class, I'm talking about an Andy Cole, a Shearer. Reason why Andy Cole, I know Shearer might even actually be an international class. I might get that wrong. But Andy Cole, because he wasn't your main stay-in player in the England squad, but he was a top player for Man United. You see what I mean? He's not international class because he ain't established. And then you got your Bruno, your Jermaine Defoe, your Ian Wrights, who are top players, but not quite international, always playing. Then you got your premium class, like of today, I think like your Ivan Toney, your Danny Ings, who scores, and Ollie Watkins. Them kind of players are in that kind of class. And you got your economy class. I mean, that should I say it?
That's coach, mate. That's cargo. He ain't even in economy, mate. That's cargo, mate. That's cargo.
But anyway, look, Big Ben says Messi is better than Ronaldo, so must mean CR7 isn't world class. No, he's in there. They're both in there. Of course,
because you can have an argument. Sorry, just on Big Ben, you can have an argument about Messi and Ronaldo, who's better. You can't have an argument with me who's better with the names I'm talking about and Roy Keane, and that's the whole point. Exactly what you said. Roy Keane wasn't the cream of the crop. He wasn't
what Callum
that
said.
1%er.
No, but
Of course, Keane is world class. Only you guys saying different. All the players that played with Keane will tell you that he's world class. Gerrard said Roy Keane was world class. Sorry, but he would now, don't you think? I think he's up there. He's close to world class, but I don't think he's in the same class as them guys. I don't think. You know?
I think also, I think we always say, oh, because a footballer said it, it must be so. Because actually, Gerrard didn't play with many world class players. So obviously, when he comes up against Keane, he's going to think he's world class.
Where's he gone? He's gone, Jar. Gone.
No.
His internet ran out. His electric's gone. Let him come back. But yeah, you know what? Roy Keane, he's a top player. But you just have to think about it a bit more. We were talking about this, and then we did come to the conclusion that, you know what? We can't really put him in that top bracket. We can put him just underneath. And them names are amazing names as well, by the way, guys. So if you get what we mean, we did put, if you look at it the way we look at the brackets, would you put him still world class with them boys, or would you move him into the international class? Gerrard says Roy Keane was world class. Sorry, but Neville and Lampard also said Keane was world class. I think he was top.
I've just looked it up. Can I just say Gerrard didn't say that? He said he was a big fan of Roy Keane, and the same with Lampard. This is what I mean. Like you've got to take the nuances in this. They didn't say that because what they're saying is they liked him. There's a big difference in my book, and this is what it comes down to. That is what you're calling world class. Like I keep coming back to, I'll put it out there now. For me, world class at any given time is the top 3-4 players in that position. That you can't have every single good player as world class, because then everyone's world class, because the technical ability is awesome with these players. So like people get upset when you say a particular player isn't world class because they think that you're saying they're rubbish. We're not. We're putting in just one tiny hair below the best of the best. Like one tiny hair below. You know what I mean?
I think he's up there. Yeah. That's a great.
I think that's the point. I think every one of us thinks he's up there, and if you haven't seen now, you'd stick Roy Keane in it. But what you're saying is, if you're looking at the pantheon of the best midfielders that have ever played the game and who were playing at the time of Roy Keane, is he there? He's probably not. He's definitely the best, one of the best United have ever had, and he's probably one of the best that you've seen in the Premier League. But when we're talking about world class, we're not just talking about Premier League players. Oh, we're talking about the best in the world, the best from the Italian, the Spanish, etc. And is he as good as? And I don't know if I can real 25, but is he as good as the top 5 who were playing at his time? So that's, I mentioned Seedorf because he's kind of like my benchmark, just in terms of a box-to-box, played for years, played in loads of different teams, delivered in every league he was in, you know, and then there's others like Edgar Davids, etc., who were just like ridiculous. So we're not saying he's not
you know what?
a brilliant player.
I'm sorry? You know what I would put Davids. When I first saw Davids, I actually believed he was the world class. But when he came to England, he wasn't old and he wasn't as good as I thought
he was old. And he was old as anything, mate. He was in his 30s.
When he career.
How old was he when he came to England?
He was 30s, weren't he, mate?
Spurs. I played against him when he was at Spurs. I don't remember how old he was, but he didn't seem to be like 30.
He looked young. He'd been playing for years.
Weren't he in his 20s still when he came to Spurs?
2005.
Because what I'm trying to say is...
No, he was 32 when he came to Spurs.
Yeah, 32.
When he came to Spurs. Okay, so he got... Okay then, all right. Because that made me think, because I grew up thinking, oh, David's sick, unbelievable. And then when I play against him, I'm like, wait a minute. He's not as good as I thought he was.
He went downhill quick, Davids, but at his peak. Yeah, he did lose it quick, Davids, but at his peak for me, he was... For me, there's only a couple of defensive midfielders better than Edgar Davids at his peak, man. A couple, like a real couple. Oh, Hakeem don't agree with me.
Said, I've had enough. I'm gone. No, guys, look, he is top class. He is absolute top class. But look at the names I mentioned in that international class. Do you not believe that, like, Hazard, Lewandowski, Harry Kane, Rooney, Tevez, Ruud van Nistelrooy, Ibrahimovic, Foden,
these are awesome players.
In the names with the bigger boys, mate. That's in the That's the names of the big boys. Seriously, I don't know why you just look. Turn the electric the emergency on. And just
50p in the meter, mate.
I think King Eric and Callum keep cutting me off.
They got your IP address, mate. They got your IP address. I ain't listening to this no more.
Hakeem, I was mentioning the names that we're putting him up there with, but I think they're getting that feeling that we had at first when we were talking in the group, going, "No chance, he's world class. What are you talking about? How can he not be world class?"
As we've gone on long enough with this, I'll give my final point of King as well. For me, what he did to our finger Haaland excludes him from the conversation of world class as well. To intentionally go out and end another player's career and then gleefully write about it in a book afterwards, saying that you meant to do it and you're happy you did it, excludes you from the conversation for me. So that as well, it really does go against him for my liking. I know it's not technical ability or anything, but I know that that's not for everyone else. But for me personally, it really takes him down a notch. That does. So
right, guys. Here's the thing, though. Yeah, this is just a snippet of what's to come. What's been going on in our group. Our group has been going absolutely crazy. I've been waking up to 500 messages and people going mad in the room. We've been talking about what are the topics, guys? We've been talking about. Can you just reel them off before we go? So these guys can hear what we're going to be
talking about. This, isn't it? That's all. It's been world class for 2.5 weeks, mate.
Yeah. Who's been world class? Who's not?
Before that, it was basically, is Messi the GOAT, which obviously he isn't. In fact, I think that started it all off. Because I said that I think R9 was the GOAT, and then that went all crazy. And anything I said about Messi was like, you hate him. Oh, it just went off the charts. And then
everyone's wrong. Obviously, it's Zinedine Zidane that's the GOAT, but
we also went through if football is better today than before. If there's more world-class players today than like in the 2000s and the 90s compared to today, has the level all round gone up, or have the lower players actually got better, and now we've got like good and very good, or we were saying before there was a lower level. It was a bigger drop off at the lower level a few years ago as to there is now. And, the fitness levels, what's changed? Is it as fun watching today as it is back then? It was mad. And how many games, did you remember watching when you were younger, where you could just switch on the telly and watch like maybe 10 different teams where they're absolute classics, Pogba said, what's injuring a player got to do with his ability? That's exactly what we
And this is what I say. If everyone else doesn't think that purposely it's not injuring a player, ending a man's career means that you don't care about that, then that's up to you. For me personally, and I'm not saying I'm right over other people. Yeah, a lot of United guys. I ain't saying that I'm right. I understand that other people don't count that into their conversation. I do, and it will always be that I've got very little respect for the man for what he did, and he is just below world class in my opinion. You know what I mean? Yeah. That will always be the way for me.
Yeah. But look, guys, we've gone over. I knew he was going to go over. And this was just the first topic we've talked about this in the group. Guys, thank you in the comments. I've seen some new names again. Make sure you hit that subscribe and hit notifications so you can hear whenever we come on. Because we have got madness to talk about soon.
Yeah.
And United guys.
If you think that view upset you, wait for the rest of them.
Oh my gosh. We have some debates going on and we will bring them to you guys live. So with that being said, we are doing the pre-match, the preview for the England game tomorrow at 5, me and Garth, I'm quite sure. And then we'll be doing the post-match on the Saturday. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this one. Hakeem, thanks for coming on again. Garth, thank you as well for coming on. And I want to say thanks to everyone in the comments for having their piece. And please continue to say what you're saying, because it's nice to have a debate where everybody thinks something different and you've got to say why you say something different. Don't just say it's different. You have to explain. That's what we're here for. And no one gets angry. Everyone gets heated, but no one gets angry and takes it personal. Thanks a lot, guys. Stay safe. Peace out.